What is up, GG603 owner, operator, and of course, reigning, defending Cruiserweight champion here in TSW. Appreciate y'all for coming through, and as King of the Ring is finally this week, man, did we have a loaded show and a lot to dive into. And let's check it out. Right away, as always, we have the honorable mention, the thank you, or the goodbyes, so to speak. The thank yous, we're thanking nobody here today. We're only taking prisoners. Of course, a quick touch up on Roldy, of course, looking to challenge for the inaugural Intergender Tag titles alongside Steph against the Chicos and Chico and Miss Chico. We've got Z-Rock holding down the fort. Appreciate the help this week, sir, and trust me, good things come to those who help you, boy. And of course, as you can see, we've got Jen, Miss JG, honorable mentions there. Of course, Miss JG, Huggies battling Roland Skull and Jen with a mystery partner, possibly coming in alone. We don't quite know yet there at the pay-per-view. Of course, we got big-time tag titles for him and Sir as well. Tough loss this week, though, for Big Time. Unfortunately, couldn't get him on the rankings here. And some goodbyes from the rankings. Ranked 19th, Swanee fell back after the tag loss, but will still be, of course, challenging for the Universal title this upcoming week, and Grim sliding out just one spot after that loss as well. But let's dive on into these rankings and see how things stack up this week. We've got the Thick Ched Daddy-O's Mind Me. I'm just gonna kill the audio on the whooshing as we switch between the entries here. Thick Ched dropping back a couple spots, unfortunately. Tough 2-on-1 loss, bit of a beatdown. He's in a tough spot going in this matchup, but I tell you what, if there's anyone I believe in, it's going to be our guy Ched, and there are rumors that maybe Pat might not even be present this week after the assault, for lack of a better term, that Ched laid down there during that matchup. Here at the 24 on rank, jumping into the ring, because we got Prodigy, of course, nice win in that tag match. Will face his former tag partner Grim upcoming week. I wasn't sure of the stipulation. I do think it's going to be a bit of a throwback, so to speak, for Prod, as I think it's gonna be Prod against his former tag partner inside a steel cage. Can Prod make right on his previous wrongs in that stipulation against former tag partner? We are gonna find out. Speaking of tags, we talk about the trios. We're talking Kopak, DT2, DT, Kapner. We did notice Kopak did switch with Cap here, as Kopak took the tough loss this week. Really good fight. I tell you what, don't appreciate the sneak attacks, but I will always respect a good competitor. Hats off to you, sir. Well done. Real valiant effort. Best of luck in that trios match with the congregation. We've got Johnny Clapp looking different by the day, I gotta say. This dude might be losing a little bit. And I tell you what, of course, I hope he loses again this upcoming week. Of course, challenge GG for the Cruiserweight title. And I will indeed oblige, but you got to be careful what you ask for, Clap, because you might just get it. Clap, a guy who likes to play games. And I don't know. I kind of like to think that I am the game. And as a great philosopher once said, it's all about the game and how you play it. It's all about control. And I do kind of run the show here, so we'll see how things stack up for the Clap Daddy. King of the Ring. Moving right along, some King of the Ring losers, but looked great doing so. Tony fell back 8 spots here, the 18 hole, of course, still reigning Tony title holder, and a bit of a shocker. Out of quite literally nowhere, the C Ballin returns, assists Tony in the matchup. Didn't quite go their way, and we actually had a funny statistic. Tony has not won a match where C-Ballin was ringside and or involved there, so we'll see how the management situation does indeed continue here for Tony, but on paper, had the right idea. You know, little running spot interference. He has been talking about, you know, Tony rules, Dargantics rules as it may be, but interesting to see how things go in the future here for the Tony title holder, especially as Money in the Bank does crawl near. Another guy who we did confirm. And I think both these guys are probably getting thrown in this Money in the Bank match. You know, the other 6 spots will have qualifiers, absolutely. But I do think the semifinals King of the Ring, they do deserve this spot. So it's Tony and Big Meckel Monster, the monster of TSW. He has been unbelievable in the ring. Leaving him right at 17 here, too. Despite the loss, just not even moving, because he has been that impressive inside the ring. Was a bit of a numbers game there against Landmark. See how things shake out in the future in that regard. But Tony Mech, we can confirm, will be the first 2 entrants in Money in the Bank. Now, Money in the Bank, set to be the next pay-per-view, but we do like to line up with the IRL pay-per-view. So, Might be a little mini big card in the middle there, long build to this Money in the Bank show. It's gonna be an absolute banger, though. You know what else gonna be a banger? That trios tag match as we got Bam. Oh, never mind. Skip spot. You know what else gonna be a banger? The intergender tag match. And we have got Steph. My notes were flip-flopped here between the next couple. Of course, Steph is number 10 for the singles women's title. Currently has her focus on the new intergender tag titles alongside one Roldy against Chico and Miss Chico. We'll see how that shakes out, but Steph, always a danger in TSW. Always somebody got to keep your eyes on, your blue eyes, if you will, as a true threat at any point in time, any given day. Now, speaking of tag titles, we've got Bama, we've got Miss Stoney. Of course, Miss Stoney, the better record between the two, though Bama does have the better history, so to speak, in TSW. Both have looked phenomenal since winning those tag titles in tag competition, and singles have struggled, but when they are a duo, they are dominant. We'll see how things shake out as the numbers do go against them. But how fitting, of course, Miss Stoney debuted against a team that didn't know who the opponent would be, and fittingly enough, oh, how the turntables have turned against Jen in the very same situation, moving up to the unlucky 13. Staying pat. 15 through 11 didn't change this week. They're champions. They're on top of their game. Got to put them where they lie, so to speak. I could maybe, again, last week I've argued Fritzy over Fend here due to the undefeated streak, but all looking good so far. Reigning defending trios champions Fend with a huge singles win over Cap, which is why I think this week more than last would certainly argue Fend in the top spot. But just see what Team America does at the pay-per-view, of course. Cap, DT, DD2, and Kopak. Kopak wasn't a TLC match this week, so I don't know if he's going to be 100%. And Cap, DT, DD2 has been, I do believe, the biggest winning formula that team does have, so we'll see what they decide on once we get to the big show. But now, talk about big shows. Talk about the top 10, outside the top 10, outside the box. Here at 10, we gotta give him that bump. Jumping from 24 up. We were wondering what was up with the Albrecht situation, who was behind it all, and we do now indeed have our answer. We have our reasoning. It's going to be Raw versus Boxie. So Boxie, number 1 contender for the heavyweight championship. He's jumping right up here at the 10 spot. Gets a little +1 in the rankings as well. So love to see that. Ratings, not rankings, I should say. But Boxie, I think you know, a lot of us are certainly pulling for him, especially after the history of Boxie in TSW has been phenomenal. Truly one of the best on the mic, in the ring, the cruiserweight division, the Universal, of course, both those titles. He's the hardcore title, the Universal 2 titles. He's really made his. But Raw's undeniable. He's a guy I've crossed paths with before, and is a guy that I don't want to cross paths with again. Good luck, Boxie. Godspeed, and may the odds forever be in your favor, sir. And somebody I think we agree we don't want the odds in favor of, because they're certainly in his favor right now on paper. We're talking Dargon and the Dargantic, staying pat at 9 here. Not really getting into any official action, but did show up at the end of that match. He's never here, but then he shows up anyways. I'm just going to assume that anything this man says is a goddamn lie. But you know what? He is reigning defending BMI champion. I do believe the longest reign in BMI history. We'll make sure we get all those stats settled before the pay-per-view. As we are between 2 games, we're tracking the titles in 24, but we're playing 25. It has really been a mess so far, but nothing messier than the BMI division right now. Of course, Dargon back costing Brandon in the gauntlet match. Feels like a lifetime ago to originally win that title. Drops it to Animal. Don't need to rehash that absolute controversy, bloodshed verbally and physically over that. But Dargon came out the other side looking all right. We know Night Owl's there this week. Not sure quite about Pat yet, but Ched does have his hands full. But Dargon has his hands full as well. As Ched has looked unbelievable so far in 2K25. Up to the 8th spot here. Someone else looks really good since debuting, or re-debuting. We're talking Emma Rose, reigning defending women's champion, held that belt since 603 Mania. No, pardon, not 603 Mania. the pay-per-view after that, the backlash of 603 Mania, ladies and gentlemen. We could edit that out. We're gonna leave it in there because I like to give you guys the real authentic, real-time thought process. Sometimes we'll trim, most times we will not. But Emma's looked really good, undefeated at the moment since entering the women's division full-time. Has looked fantastic. Does have an open challenge at pay-per-view. We're not quite sure how that's going to shake out, but has dominated a lot of wrestlers in these open challenges or championship contenders. But this will be a title on the line situation. Last 2 weeks, Kendra, and I believe it was the Miss Hudat matchups, didn't have the title on the line there. But this one strap is up for grabs. So good luck, Godspeed. See how things shake out. Talk about it, see how things shake out. Decent week, bad month. We're talking Phineas and Urban, the goddamn ass. Still at the 7th spot. Been here for a few weeks now, just kind of holding tight there. Of course, got the singles win over big time this week, setting up that tag match at pay-per-view. We know Landmark, of course, certainly higher in the rankings, will be in the King of the Ring finals. Double duty for Landmark that night. I mean, of course, the tag titles will come first, so we'll see if that comes into effect in any way, but a big opportunity to continue this tag title streak. I am very certain this is the longest single reign in history. Would have to double check on the combined reign, but I think we're right there, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe this is the greatest tag team in TSW history, and it'd be hard to argue against that right now, as they've been dominant, and since adding Blue, I just add a whole nother level to this group. And talk about finding a whole new level this year. We're talking LBJ, of course. Cruiserweight of the year, certainly not a bounce back year, but, you know, I think it's fair to say that the very end of the year didn't go the way LB wanted it to within the Cruiserweight division, but turns out that was simply a stepping stone here for the Mod God, the Glorious One, as he finally has a chance to face Landmark when the lights are the brightest. Have faced before, but not in this level of a situation. Of course, winner will face the heavyweight champion, whether it be Raw Dog or we now know possibly even Boxie, which brings up a very interesting dynamic of a Raw versus Landmark or LBJ, or a Boxie versus Landmark or LBJ. I think there's a lot of interesting pieces falling together here in TSW. The most interesting thing, though, is LB been going into this alone. Will that continue? We do expect certainly some shenanigans in that King of the Ring finals. I keep saying good luck, God, but this is one we really truly do mean it. I think this is one where odds are fully stacked deck the other way, and we're rooting for you, LB. We're rooting for you, sir. Now we go to the top 5. Will we see a change? Not yet. AJ still at the 5-hole, wins a tag match this week for us. Will defend against Swanee at pay-per-view. Not sure the stipulation yet. Might be something a little bit more toned down, though, as, you know, some of the big stipulations are currently earmarked for some other feuds at the moment. But you know what? Doesn't matter the stipulation. AJ will show up, will get the job done. 2-time Universal Champion, only man to do that. See how things go at the pay-per-view. Now, this is where controversy comes. The big question, history, titles, being active, defenses, promos. This was a tough one. This was a tough one. But we had to look at it. The last 2 weeks in a vacuum hasn't been wrestling. You know, this rivalry, this storyline has been unbelievable, incredible, but we can't give the rankings simply due to promos when everyone above him has been wrestling and winning matches, but still has that +1, still is the champion, still on a winning streak, which, you know, doesn't necessarily get portrayed in these rankings, but is very important to keep in mind, guys. Raw Dog here, big opportunity against Boxie. He retains. He likely becomes the longest reigning heavyweight champion of all time. Very likely, based on how frequently the title's held and where you'd likely defend again at Money in the Bank. Big night for the big man Raw Dog. And talk about big, doesn't get bigger. He ain't been ranked yet. He's ranked right now. 1 spot ahead of Raw is gonna be the big boss ham Landmark. Gets that spicy +2. which is just one more thing going against LB's favor here as we're going through this. Against the +2, of course, reigning tag champion, longest tag champion all time. I always say I think he's truly the most decorated, if not one of the top 2-3 most decorated wrestlers in history in TSW. History has its eyes on you, Landmark. The King's crown is in reach. Everything going his way right now. We'll see how things shake out, though, come pay-per-view. Double duty tag title match and King of the Ring finals, which will certainly semi-main event that pay-per-view. I cannot wait to see that matchup. Truly one of the most anticipated matchups in TSW history in Landmark versus LB. Cannot wait to see what shakes out there. And now here we are, the top two. You could probably gather at this point where we're going here. At number 2, 12-0, we are talking Yunk. He has been that good, cannot be stopped. Bit of a good showing this week by Kroggy. He had me a couple times. I thought it was all over, but another big win. We know Young's gonna have a multi-man at pay-per-view. Not sure quite what the stipulation is. We know Civ did qualify for that. Possibly we see a match at pay-per-view, maybe opening pay-per-view to give him another challenger. We'll see what happens at pay-per-view, but 12-0. Will we see 12-1? Will we see 13-0? Will the streak continue? This is one of the things I'm just cannot wait to see. Who finally shuts down Young, guys? We might find out this Thursday, Friday at King of the Ring. But of course, number 1 in your hearts, in your souls, and on the rankings, it's going to be JG603, baby. The one and only reigning defending Cruiserweight champion, the fighting champion in TSW, of course. All good things might come to an end this Thursday, but for now, we're sitting pretty, enjoying our spot up on top of the mountaintop, so to speak, the top of the totem pole. But anything could happen in TSW any given Sunday, whether it be for JG, Young, Landmark, Raw, AJ, LBJ, any of these guys. Any given Sunday, any moment, it could all come crashing down and hurt inside. Well, we'll see you guys at the King of the Ring. Let me know in the comment section down below. Who wins? Landmark, LBJ. Who wins? Raw or Boxie? Let me know your picks for the pay-per-view. Most importantly, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, notification, activate all that good stuff. Y'all the best. Y'all in twos. Sweet. And I'll see you next time. Woo. Appreciate you. Bye.